Hello chums, it's Tori here. I hope you're all having a good day. So this isn't going to be the typical news video post. This is going to be more me ranting. Now normally when it comes to things that annoy me in the gaming world, I just rant to my husband and he has to suffer the brunt of it and then we just move on. But this particular thing that's happened has really bugged me, so I just want to get my own thoughts out and rant a little bit and just vent and get it over and done with. As most of you have probably seen and heard by now, and if not I'm going to tell you anyway, something came up on the Blizzard Overwatch forums about a particular character and a particular pose she does. That character is Tracer, and if you don't know who Tracer is, or you don't really know her personality, she's very quick on her feet, she's always got something to say, but she's a very fun, bubbly person, and she has a really stereotypical British accent, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
The world could always use more heroes.
So a user by the name of Phipps made a complaint on the Overwatch forums about this particular pose I'm talking about, which is called the over-the-shoulder pose. And I'm just going to read a bit of their post out to you just so you get the gist of it. You can actually find it on the Overwatch US forums. I'll put a link in the description. But basically, they started off saying that they think the development team's done a great job with the cast of female heroes, blah blah blah. The female cast reflects a large spectrum of personalities and player fantasies. With that being said, let's talk about Tracer. And then they go on to post loads of different poses she does and talk about her skins being really cool. And then they go on to talk about the over-the-shoulder pose. And their reaction is, what? What about this pose has anything to do with the character you're building in Tracer? It's not fun, it's not silly, it has nothing to do with being a fast elite killer. It just reduces Tracer to another bland female sex symbol. We aren't looking at a Widowmaker pose here. This isn't a character who is in part defined by flaunting her sexuality. This pose says to the player base, oh, we've got all these cool diverse characters, but at any moment we are willing to reduce them to sex symbols to help boost our investment game. Near the end, one of the things that really gets to me is this tiny little paragraph. I have a young daughter that every day when I wake up wants to watch the Recall trailer again. She knows who Tracer is, and as she grows up, she can grow up alongside these characters. What I want to know is, while he or she hasn't stated how old their daughter is, I'm guessing she's quite little given the fact that they say as she grows up. Which makes me think, what is your daughter doing watching cinematics and gameplay of a violent game? You know, there's characters going out shooting each other and taunting each other and all this and wearing skin-tight suits and things like that. Why is she watching this anyway? Shouldn't she be playing with Barbie dolls or playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure or something? Anyway, before we get into a big song and dance about what's appropriate for little kids and age ratings and stuff, let me just finish reading the rest. What I'm asking is that as you continue to add to the Overwatch cast and investment elements, you double down your commitment to create strong female characters. You've been doing a good job so far, but shipping with a Tracer pose like this undermines so much of the good you've already done. Now, for the most part, a lot of the comments in reply to this do not agree at all. We've got people saying, is this thread a joke? Did I accidentally stumble into Tumblr? And she's not weak because she has a toned ass. This basically goes on most people commenting saying they can't tell if this post is a troll or not, or they just think it's a stupid thing to get really worked up over. You know, it's just a bloody pose. Why does it matter? The pose isn't unique to Tracer. Widowmaker also uses the pose. And to be honest, I don't see why this person is complaining about the one pose for the character and not complaining about the pose being used for Widowmaker as well, for example. Anyway, so you probably assume, if you haven't already read this post and know what's happened, that this is just the most stupidest thing ever and Blizzard's just going to toss it out the window with all the other ridiculous troll posts. No! They didn't! Jeff Kaplan, the game director, replied with, we'll replace the pose. We want everyone to feel strong and heroic in our community. The last thing we want to do is make someone feel uncomfortable, underappreciated, or misrepresented. Apologies, and we'll continue to try to do better. So that continues on for a bit, blah blah blah, and then they go on to say, we wouldn't do anything to sacrifice our creative vision for Overwatch, and we're not going to remove something solely because someone may take issue with it. And then later on he says, we understand that not everyone will agree with our decision, and that's okay. That's what these kind of public tests are for. This wasn't pandering or caving though. This was the right call from our perspective, and we think the game will be just as fun the next time you play it. Hello Blizzard, you have basically just done what you said you hadn't done in the post. You have pandered and caved in to one person. You have removed something from Overwatch solely because someone took issue with it. So I don't know what bullshit you're trying to throw at us, like we're stupid or something. So the comments after are pretty mixed. Some people say, oh, that was a good call, or, they're not really that fussed. But a big majority of people are actually quite pissed off. And if they're like me, They're not pissed off because some silly pose got removed from the game. It's the context in which it got removed. I don't care what Blizzard say, they clearly removed this pose because one person, and a couple of others I suppose, complained about it. I don't understand what's so overly sexualized about that. I mean, okay, yeah, she's wearing a bit of a skin-tight suit, but it's not like she's like waving her butt in the camera, or she's like blowing a kiss and smacking her ass or something. I'm trying to think of something really sexy, but I guess I'm not a very sexy person. So you could say, really, comparing the two, that they're both quite, they're overly sexualized, blah, 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 butts, blah, blah, blah. But what I don't get is that the original poster only complained about Tracer. Why does this Phipps person think that Tracer's over-the-shoulder pose is so inappropriate and they cannot possibly let their daughter watch because she's very impressionable and young? And yet, Widowmaker's over-the-shoulder pose is perfectly fine. Surely that's over-sexualized to you too. Other people in the forums have come up with some cool suggestions, like instead of completely removing the pose and thus pissing off a lot of people, why not just have another optional pose that can be swapped in with it? Then the people that find this greatly offensive don't have to use it, and the people who still enjoy using it or just don't care either way can still have the old one. But no, it apparently has to be removed completely to cater to a very, very small minority of people. I don't know, maybe Blizzard should just put giant muumuus on all the female characters and then people would be happy. I don't know. Now, this isn't the first time that Blizzard have actually changed the look of one of their characters in a game. If anyone keeps track of World of Warcraft and you've seen all the Legion stuff coming out, you may know that Sylvanas' look has slightly changed as well. She used to wear some weird metal bra thing that showed off her midriff. Now for Legion, she's suddenly got a really weird brown corset that doesn't match the outfit at all. While as far as I can recall, Blizzard never said they've changed it for certain reasons, people do suspect that it was changed to cater to this sort of minority of people again. What's bothering me is how Blizzard have gone about this. If they just said, you know what, we're going to remove the pose, we have another one lined up, we never really liked this pose because it never really worked with the character, it works better for Widowmaker but not for Tracer, fair enough. But they've so blatantly removed it because a very small amount of people thought it was over-sexualized, and it's just driving me mad. I mean, I could easily complain about dwarves in World of Warcraft because they're really short and I find it offensive as a person who is only 5 foot tall. Or I could complain about Tracer's accent. She has a really stereotypical British accent and I find it really offensive as a British person. I want you to remove it, Blizzard, right now. Oh wait, I don't care because it's a character and they're always over-characterized and made in certain ways to make them more fun and more playable. The other thing that really bugs me as a woman is I feel like we're sort of going backwards when it comes to things like this, like characters and female characters looking sexy. I know people like Phipps think they're doing the world a service by complaining about these sorts of things and having, we must have everything really proper and prim and women shouldn't be over-sexualized. But if you recall, it was only a couple of 100 years ago that women weren't allowed to do things like expose their legs or their bare arms, and they had to dress with really big uncomfortable clothing and be covered up at all times. And we've worked so hard to get away from that, but now it just feels like we're going backwards. Or is that just me? Am I the only one who sees that? Anyway, I feel like I'm just ranting a bit too much and I'm going off topic. I'm a very passionate person about things like this, but annoyingly, my brain and my words don't really work together to make me say what I want to say. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, so if you have other points that I maybe missed or you think add to the conversation, just put it in the comments. I want to know what people think about this. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like as it really helps me out, and I'll see you wherever I play or talk about next. Bye bye!